Hey, good morning, everybody. I know tomorrow is the Thanksgiving holiday, and some people are getting ready to travel. Others are getting ready to do absolutely nothing. I thought it might be fun to hang out for just a little bit. I've been working on a secret project with my friend and constitutional attorney, Andrew Seidel, with Americans United for Separation of Church and State. Now he's operating on his own, he's gone rogue on this particular project. He reached out last week and he said, "Hey, I need a video producer. Do you recommend anybody?" And I, having absolutely no free time, said, "I'll do it because I'm stupid." But I kind of liked the idea of the project. And so we put it together. He sent me his clips. I put all of my bells and whistles on top. It should release, I think, on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving or the weekend after Thanksgiving, and it will solve one of the great dilemmas. It will answer one of the most deep and probing questions that the ages has wrestled with, and it has to do with the Christmas holiday and a certain action movie starring somebody that you know, and that's all I'm going to say. So that's been a nice distraction. Granted, I can't do it halfway. We're like, I'll just throw some stuff together. And then Natalie raises an eyebrow at me as I'm up here for hours and hours and hours and hours going, you know what would be fun? You know what would be cool? What if I added this? Well, this will be animated and this will explode. And before you know it, I've spent the entire weekend in the studio. And then I have to go back and apologize and say, I'm sorry. I just got away from everybody. I'm so sorry. Of course, a lot of people are wrestling with whether or not to attend their Thanksgiving holiday. I'm going to cry to attend. Did I just say cry? Is that a Freudian slip? I'm going to cry to attend. Oh, I don't know why. Part of me thought about doing this, and I'll share this because it popped up on my feed. Oops, hang on, let me remove this. It was a tweet by a guy named Zeddy, and it said, "Avoiding politics at Thanksgiving is how we got Trump. Put on juggalo, war paint, and politicize everything. Redistribute the bread rolls. Nationalize the monopoly game. Unionize the flag football league. Incite a kids' table." Ah, shit, I can't read that because there's there's a chat on the screen. Can you remove that for me so I can thank you? Incite a kids' table uprising. Make a guillotine for your table centerpiece. Thank you very much. Be ungovernable at the holidays. I thought about showing up. I entertained the idea for a hot minute of showing up at Thanksgiving with a shirt on that said "Quiet Piggy." This quiet piggy. No further explanation. Just to see what happens. Because as JoJo from Jers has said in her recent article, I have no more fucks to give. Did you see that article? Let me read this real fast for you. Um, before I do that, hang on. Let me show you this. We have some events coming up. I have some events coming up. I'm going to be in Denver, Colorado, December 6th for Secular Hub. There are still tickets for that. And then looks like we are about a quarter, 25% already sold out for the event with Forrest Valkai, Gutsick Gibbon, and myself. That's going to be at OU Schusterman Center, Tulsa, Oklahoma, March the 7th. And there's a look at the auditorium for the video viewers. And I've got a page with profiles and directions. There's a map and all that you need. And so, it's not even Thanksgiving, and we're already a quarter sold out. And so we're pretty excited about that. I'm expecting it to fully sell out, possibly by the end of the year. I don't know. It's hard to say with this stuff. But if you want to go to sethandrews.com, you will see the speaking tab at the top of that page. And there are links to everything that you need. Okay, JoJo from Jers. Where is that article? Let me pull. I didn't expect to read. You know what? Should I read it? It goes pretty hard at MAGA. Do I want to start the show with this because I have some commentary and I want your calls, by the way, on anything that's on your mind. I know everybody's talking about MAGA and Trump, MAGA and Trump. The problem is that he makes us talk about it every day. He makes us talk about it. What's that article? I think it came out in the Atlantic. It was titled, "How is anything a scandal when everything is an outrage?" And now he's going after Senator Mark Kelly, and Pete Hegseth, and Trump. They're going after a decorated military veteran and former astronaut, the ultimate American hero. Good luck with that. Because Mark Kelly and others, including a former director of the CIA, came forward and said that military members do not have to follow illegal orders. Where is that visual? Hang on. I think I saved share image file. Aha. Look at me. Loyalty to the Constitution. Now, this is a plaque on display at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. It says, loyalty to the Constitution. The United States boldly broke with the ancient military custom of swearing loyalty to a leader. Article 6 required that American officers thereafter swear loyalty to our basic law, the Constitution. While many other nations have suffered military coups, the United States never has. Our American Code of Military Obedience requires that should orders and the law ever conflict, our officers must obey the law. Many other nations have adopted our principle of loyalty to the basic law. This nation must have military leaders of principle and integrity so strong that their oaths to support and defend the Constitution will unfailingly govern their actions. The purpose, I'm sorry, that's very small here, and so I'm trying to follow it with my older eyes. The purpose of the United States Military Academy is to provide such leaders of character. Okay, I like that. We follow the law and we follow the Constitution. Where is that JoJo from Jers article? I'll just screw it. Right? This is informal and largely unprepped. Pull this up. So, JoJo from Jers Substack. Now, JoJo from Jers, her actual name is Joanne Carduccia. Carducca. She is a political commentator, and she is spicy. She is extremely articulate, but in a very profane way. And this speaks to a great many people. Pull this article out over here and see if I can share it for you. Remove from studio, present, share screen, article from JoJo from Jers. Okay. November 24th, 2025. I'm all out of fucks. And she's got a meme of a MAGA who is shouting, "I voted to be racist, not poor." Joe says, I've meditated on this with the solemnity of a monk on mushrooms, reflected on it deeply, then shallowly, then in that strange in-between place where you're not sure if you're having an epiphany or a small stroke. But after a brief but spiritually exhausting consultation with whatever dying star still fuels my remaining patience, I have reached a blindingly clarifying cosmic conclusion. I do not give a single solitary microscopic fuck. I don't give a single solitary microscopic fuck about these Trump voters crying now because they've lost everything. Not one. Not a crusty crumb clinging to the emotional counter. Not a flicker doing community theater in my moral periphery, not an ember faking its own death for attention. Not even the faint shimmering mirage of a fuck appearing on the horizon like a dehydrated cowboy hallucinating an oasis he will absolutely never reach. And yes, I mean the cattle ranchers, the teachers, the nurses who voted for him, the people who cheered while he gutted their industries, their protections, and their professions. I mean, the soybean farmers, the white working class price of eggs patriots, and the families with chronic illnesses who voted for him, all now stunned to discover the policies they demanded are shockingly the same policies now kneecapping their lives. I mean, the Latino voters who believed him, the SNAP single mothers working two jobs, and the quote unquote law and order crusaders, all of whom voted for him before realizing he wasn't aiming the wrecking ball at other people, he was aiming it at them. The votes were theirs. The consequences are theirs. The tears filling the basin of their busted lives, those belong to them too. And let's not turn this into some quilted symphony shoal because these people never gave a fuck about me. They didn't give a fuck about my family, my kids, my friends, my community, my country, my planet, my water, my air, my parks, my public schools, my loved ones with chronic conditions, or my friends inside federal agencies he bulldozed. They didn't give a fuck about anyone who didn't mirror their outrage, soothe their grievances, or co-sign their spite. But now, I'm supposed to give a fuck about them? Bless their hearts, but absolutely fucking not. I wanted to give a fuck. I really, really did. I tried. I searched high and low. I searched the depths of my soul, not a polite rummage, but a full scale emotional excavation like the world's most frantic TSA agent rifling through spiritual carry ons. I combed emotional crevices, psychic alleyways, metaphysical broom closets, existential crawl spaces, and the psychological drunk drawer where old gum wrappers of compassion go to die. I dusted for prints. I opened trapdoors. I poked around like a deranged archaeologist, brushing sediment off the ruins of my empathy. Nothing. Not a footprint of a fuck, not a fossilized fuck trapped in amber, not even the silhouette of a fuck fleeing the premises in sunglasses and a fake mustache. I dug deeper. Vaults, sub basements, therapy loop only zones, that abandoned psychological crawl space where I once stored my last shred of patience. And at that point, I was Yukon Cornelius tapping every surface of my soul for anything valuable, licking the pickaxe, grimacing, declaring nothing, trying again, nothing. One more dip, nothing. The fuck mines were barren. I tried to give a fuck about the cattle rancher, the one standing in his dying pastures, whispering the most honest sentence he'd ever uttered. I voted to be racist, not poor. Spoken like cruelty came with a customer loyalty punch card. Still nothing. I tried to give a fuck about the nurse who once adored him for telling it like it is, proudly repeating, he literally said, I'm going to rob you all blind and sell out this country to its enemies. And I love him because he tells it like it is. Now she's holding on to her decertified profession like a snapped IV bag, shocked the monster she fed was now gnawing her face. Still nothing. I flipped my soul like a messy purse in a Target parking lot. Shook the drapes, checked the vents. Nothing. Zero. The Conscience Warehouse reported no fucks in stock and none on back order. I tried to give a fuck about the teacher, the one who stapled alphabet letters to walls and bought classroom supplies from her own paycheck. The one whose entire career was tossed into a bureaucratic shredder and reclassified as miscellaneous labor. She whispered, I didn't vote for this. And the universe replied, that's the best part. You did. Still nothing. I tried to give a fuck about the soybean farmer, the one who applauded the tariffs like he was cheering for a hometown team instead of watching his own livelihood get crushed under the policy boot he begged for. Now he stands in a collapsing barn, mumbling, "Now that I own the libs, the oligarchs get to own my farm." Still nothing. So I stepped outside and shouted into the cosmic abyss, "Has anyone seen a fuck? Just one. A refurbished model?" The universe, ancient and bored, replied, "Nope." I tried to give a fuck about the white working class dad, the price of eggs warrior who called my empathy weakness. Now he sits under a flickering kitchen bulb drafting his future Facebook masterpiece. I blame Biden. He should have done a better job explaining how Trump's policies were going to screw people like me. That's why I'm still MAGA. Still nothing. I tried to give a fuck about the people with pre existing conditions. The ones who voted for the man who spent 4 straight years trying to rip their health care out of their hands like a toddler throwing a toy into traffic. I tried to care about the diabetics who cheered for the guy who treated insulin affordability like a personal insult, and the immunocompromised voters who believed expired vitamins and Facebook memes were a medical strategy. Still nothing. And nothing compares to the Obamacare crowd. To be completely honest, I never even pretended to give a fuck about them. They're just too fucking stupid to give a fuck about. These are the ones who stayed alive because of Obama, who could breathe, walk, function, and parent because of Obama, and still shrieked, "Repeal Obamacare," because they hated his name more than they loved living. The geniuses who only realized their beloved ACA was Obamacare when the policy was already halfway into the wood chipper. And now their hero, a man who can't even pronounce acetaminophen but insists Tylenol causes autism, is gleefully chainsawing the health care Obama handed them. Still nothing. I tried to give a fuck about the Latino families whose loved ones disappeared into the detention machine they once applauded nothing. And then the snap single mom, 2 jobs, 3 kids, she voted for him before he dragged their nutrition assistants all the way to the Supreme Court to make sure her children starved before he litigated their hunger into federal policy. And now she's crying about the consequences she helped create. She whispered, "I didn't vote for this." And the cosmos replied, "You absolutely did." She finishes, "Still nothing. Look, there are innocent people suffering who did not vote for this. I hate that. I'm a mother. I don't want anyone hurting unnecessarily, but sometimes the only way people learn is the hard way. Touching the hot stove, licking the frozen flagpole, sprinting across pavement with their hands shoved in their pockets like Darwin's interns. So many ignored suffering because it wasn't happening to them. So many shrugged at cruelty until the cruelty boomeranged. The world they begged for has arrived, and it's carving its initials into their futures with the tenderness of a prison shank. Be careful what you wish for, because now I hope every day is the day they fucking voted for, until the rest of us, and in a perfect world with their help, can fix the fucking mess they handed us. The mess their selective stupidity forced down our throats. But in the meantime, I'll be the one telling them to cry harder. And maybe that's mean, maybe it's cold, maybe I should be the bigger person, or maybe, just maybe, I just don't give a fuck. And she linked the Phil Collins song, "I Don't Care Anymore." She reminds me a little bit of James Fell in the way that she just laces F bombs into every piece of commentary that she has. But you can see why she's popular, and she is well known across the United States and even in places around the world for her commentaries. So I would welcome any commentary that you have on pretty much anything that is on your mind. The switchboard is wide open. Let me close some windows so I can actually function as a host. By the way, and total digression here, but I think it relates. I watched for the 10th time the Robert Eggers film called The Witch. Now, you would expect me to talk about this more around October, Halloween time, horror films, etc. I don't know if I'd even call it a horror film, but I was watching it again. And every time I see this movie, I see something new in it. And I see, and there are spoilers in what I'm about to say. So skip forward 8 minutes or 5 minutes if you haven't seen The Witch and you want to be surprised. But if you're going to take the journey, great. If you've already seen it, great. If you don't care and you're going to watch it afterwards with this commentary in mind, great. Here's the gist. So there is a Puritan family back during Puritan times, and there is a very pious father. He's played by Ralph. Is it Innes or Ines? He has one of the deepest voices you have ever heard. He speaks like this, and it's amazing. And he is standing in front of a kind of a council or tribunal in the town, and he is apparently a pain in the ass because he doesn't believe that the Puritans are pure enough. They are not Christianing well enough. They've allowed sin and wretchedness and the devil into their lands. And he says, we need to be better about this. So he's kind of holding up this high moral standard. And he's telling them that you need to be more godly. And the council and the townspeople are gathered around going, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, you're not the judge of us. You're not the moral arbiter of us. And he's like, I stand here condemning all of you. And they're like, fine, take your shit and leave. So he willingly, but he's kind of banished, but he willingly leaves the village with his family. He's got his wife and his daughter, who is played by Anna Taylor Joy, and then two very scary young children. Like, screw those kids kind of kids. Like, you look at them and you're like, I want nothing to do. I don't want to be in the same zip code as those kids. Creepy, creepy, creepy kids. So they get on their wagon and they go to stake a claim elsewhere. Fertile, barren land. It's bare, not barren. And he is going to build a cabin, and they're going to make their own little home church and get closer to God and be the kind of Christians that he had always said that we needed to be. Okay. So the second they put up stakes and they bless the farm and they try to live, everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. And the clueless father continues to spout scripture and talk about how wretched we are as sinners, and how in all of this trauma and pain, this is our way of God bringing us closer into his embrace. How lucky are we? I think he actually says something along those lines after they lose an infant child. The mother's devastated in grief. She can barely get herself out of bed. She's weeping, she's sobbing, and he's like, how blessed are we that God would bring us to this low point so that he might draw us nearer into his embrace, right? I mean, it's that kind of, and we see this often in the church. And shit continues to go down. He does not prosper. He can't get food to grow. He can't hunt game in the forest. They are so hungry, they're ripping off tiny little pieces of bread. And the whole time he's like, Jesus, God, God, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Well, this teenage daughter, I think she must have been 14 at the time, maybe 15. They're freaked out because she is starting to enter her womanhood. And they talk about, well, we need to banish her away or something. I don't know where they would banish her for a while until she has gone through puberty, because sexuality in young people freaks them out. Totally freaks them out. Oh my God, she's developing breasts and she's doing womanly things, and yet she is a child. Then the father is guilty of tremendous hypocrisy throughout the film. He does dumb shit. He does dishonest shit. he essentially backs himself into a corner time and time again, and he lets others take the blame for it. All the while, the whole farm is dying around him. His children are disappearing and dying around him. It's a horror show. Now, this is the point I'm trying to make. Okay. There is a suspicion that one of the kids is in league with Lucifer, epitomized by the black goat, Black Phillip, who's a scary ass goat living in the barn. Okay? The father suspects it is Thomason, the daughter, the teenage daughter. So they are outside after the latest tragedy. And he's trying to get her to admit she's a witch. You're a witch. You've made a pact with Lucifer. You're a witch. If you'll come clean, Jesus can forgive you. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go and tell the elders somewhere that you are a witch and they're going to freaking kill you. This is the warning. Speak truth to me, he says. Tell me. Just come clean. And she turns around and she exercises what in the film is a moment of women's liberation. It's one of the most feminist moments, except for the climax. It's one of the most feminist moments in the whole movie. And this is a movie about repression, hypocrisy, and feminism, about female empowerment. She turns and she looks at her father and she says, "Oh, you want to talk truth? You want to talk truth? You lie all the time. You let other people take the blame for everything that you've done. You're arrogant. You can't hunt. You can't farm. Only thing you can do is take the axe out here and chop wood. And there's a giant pile of wood next to the house, more than they'll ever be able to burn, because that's the only thing he knows how to do." She calls him out on his bullshit. He's like, "You're weak and pathetic, and you do nothing. For all your moralizing and all your sermonizing and all your scripture quoting and all your prayers and all this piety, you're just full of shit." And he, for the first time in the film, shows his true self. And he calls her a bitch. He screams it, "Bitch," and he lashes out at her, right? That's what was underneath the whole time. The whole time. He actually finally said what he was thinking. He reduced her, he dehumanized her, he was a sexist pig about her. Bitch. That's what he was really like. And since I've told you everything else, it wouldn't matter, but I'm not going to get into the finale of the film. But it's a movie about female empowerment over the hypocrisy of the pious. And I look around and I see that father. I see him. I see him throughout MAGA. I see him throughout fundamentalist Christian culture. And I don't think this is a stretch. I don't think I'm trying to armchair philosophize this too much. Um, but we see outward piety, right? The whole message is they are not holy enough for me, right? They are not holy enough for me. We must construct for ourselves a place that is more grand, or actually more humble in its grandeur, because it is a place where we will do Christianity correctly to the exclusion of all others. Then the same people who were sermonizing, chest thumping, huffing and puffing about the Lord, those same people destroy everything they touch. They just destroy it. It goes to shit. The crops wither, the people starve, their children die, and in their cluelessness, they continue to huff and puff and protest and bleat and pray and do all the things that they do, the Puritans do, until at some point, someone close to them stands up and says, "No more. You're a hypocrite," right? Maybe you're the witch. I don't know. You're the witch of the woods. I don't think she was saying that in the film. But I saw parallels. Every time you see a Puritan or repression culture, you see rampant hypocrisy. You see people who are so myopic and small minded and tribal and pathetic and divided. You know, he didn't want to be a part of the community nearly as much as he wanted to be superior to his fellow human beings. And I see a lot of that fueling the cruelty and the hypocrisy that you and I see all around us today. Am I stretching on that front? Is that just me trying way too hard to sound somewhat wise? Very possible. It is very possible. But that was something that was on my mind. Terrific film. I had to watch it with subtitles the first time because the old English was so thick I couldn't understand it. I could not get through it, so I had to go back and put the subtitles on. And then the second time, my brain locked into place and I was able to understand every word. It was wild. Let's talk to some people who wish to talk to us on the switchboard. I'm going to start with Clint, who is dialing in from 255. Clint, are you there?
I've told this story quite a few times since back in 2021. I was post-COVID, was starting to go out on dates and stuff, trying to get out, and I met this girl, this woman who had health problems before I met her. She had existed with pulmonary hypertension, which is a lung disease, for 12 years. Had a double lung transplant, had all the scars, and so she had a plan. She was motivated. She was a scientist. She wanted to create the cure for the disease that she had. And so she was in college to get a degree. Then she wanted to go to grad school and get a doctorate and become a scientist. And so I decided to hop along on that ride, and it took us all the way to Chicago when she was in grad school. And then we moved there a year ago, back in July of last year, and she went through her first semester, and then her health went down. Our wedding was scheduled for January 4th of 2025, and we went through it, and she could barely walk. And so we still went through it. She wanted to, she planned the whole thing. And then a month later, she went in the hospital and lasted 10 days unconscious and passed away. And I've been dealing with that ever since. And I've been to grief counseling. I have a grief counselor, and I went to group counseling, and that's where I experienced sort of a prejudice towards me being an atheist. And because all of these people, it's mostly women that were there, not many men, and I went all the time, and they all talking about God and their stuff. And then when I talk about mine, everybody gets offended and all of this stuff. And they didn't tell me, they told the counselor head, the woman that was running it. And I think they booted me out. They told me I couldn't come back and they wouldn't tell me why. They told me I was, said some stuff they didn't like. So I stopped going. I still go to my personal counselor, and it's just been the toughest thing that you could imagine, other than losing a child, because that's the only thing I could imagine that's worse. I still, empathize with her mom. Her mom I'm still in contact with, and she's a wonderful human being. And the girl I was, her name was Caitlin, and she was awesome. She voted for the very first time under me, and she got to vote for Kamala Harris last year, and in a blue state in Illinois, and I was awesome. My whole family is red except for maybe two people. And I was listening to you before and all of that. I've been listening to you for 10 years, and it's just I had wanted to call and try this again.
Well,
try calling you, because the last time I called, I was so nervous. I rambled so much.
No, Clint, you did fine. I'm sorry for your loss. I know those words ring empty. People grope for language. I will also assure you that both women and men in hospital, hospice, counseling, etc. positions all come up with those platitudes that drive you so crazy. And I think many of them also whisper around or behind the ears of non-believers, and sort of piggyback their faith on the tragedies of other people. And I'm so sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad she had you, and I'm glad you got to share those moments together, those days together, and even because of your union, because you got to mark that with a marriage. I mean, she got to die at your side in that way, and I know that's faint comfort. But are you hanging? I know it was just this year. You dealing, Clint? Is there anything we can do for you?
Well, I had to, when I was living up north, I had a job and I had to quit my job because I didn't want to be by myself up there. And so I've been trying to get a job for the last 10 months. Oh, well, not 10, but I left it a couple months where I would try to get my bearings a little bit. And I've been trying to get a job since probably about April or May. And, I've been on interviews and it's been really hard. This economy, while fearless leader has been so bad, it's hard to get a job right now, especially down here in Louisiana,
Yeah.
where, our governor's a nut.
Yeah, and in a
He
strong
doesn't care
field,
about
in a
people.
strong field, yeah, Louisiana is. I forget where you're ranked in terms of education as well. I know you're in the bottom four. You're like 47.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody look it up for me. Um, I'm not a vocational counselor or anything like that. What's your skill set? Maybe if there's somebody who in the chat might have an option for you. Like, what do you do?
Oh, the last two jobs I had to do with warehousing. I was a supervisor. The last job I had in Chicago, in restaurant equipment delivery service. They would sell them and then deliver them, and I had to schedule all of that and talk to customers and stuff. I only got to have 7 months experience, having not enough to get a job down here because they want you to have at least 1, 2, or 3 years of experience, and I don't have enough for that. And so I had previous job before that. I was a shipping receiving person, basically did everything. I know how to drive a forklift. I can, do all of that, and that's the job. And I've been a quality inspector in 2 different industries. I've done a lot of different things, and that's another detriment is being in the workforce for a little over 20 years, and I have so many different jobs that I've done. So
Well,
it's just a tough thing.
Let me contract out my weaknesses. If somebody who is listening or watching in the chat, drop a line, attention, Clint. If you know of an opportunity in Louisiana somewhere or even elsewhere, let us know. I'd be interested.
Baton Rouge area.
Okay, great. Well,
I'm in the Baton Rouge area.
big hugs from all of us to you, Clint. I know the holidays can't be easy, but you are appreciated and you do have support, and I appreciate your call very much.
Well, thank you very much. And one other thing, you and I do share the same birthday.
April 12th.
Yes, sir. April 12th.
That
That's
was a
my
good
birthday.
day. I heard that David Letterman's
know it
birthday
was.
is the same, and I think there are some other celebrities. I don't know why I'm curious about such things, but all right. Well, you and I are.
I don't know. I had the same thing.
Go ahead.
It was the same thing as. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean.
You're
and
fine,
it was the
brother.
same date of the first shuttle was launched on my birthday, and the year I was born. So that's another thing that happened. The very first space shuttle was launched.
Well, we're hurtling toward April of 2026. So happy birthday way, way, way in advance. And take care. Okay, Clint?
I'm sure I'll be listening to you. You too, Seth.
Right.
Thank you for taking my call.
You bet. We'll see you later. I said that line many times. Life's like a roll of toilet paper. It spins faster and faster as you get closer to the end. All I know is it was January and I blinked and it's almost December. Like, where'd the year go? Where'd the year go? Speaking of December, as I go to Denver to speak for Secular Hub, we're geared up and preparing for our snow skiing excursion. She's never been. I might as well have never been. We ordered clothes, warm clothes, and we've been watching YouTube video tutorials. Yes, we're going to take lessons in person, but we're like, okay, so to slow down, you with your feet, you make the pizza. And if you want to go faster, you open your skis up parallel and you do the French fries. So we've been practicing our pizza and our French fries on the mountain. Or we've been practicing actually in our living room. We crack each other up. We crack each other up. I've got Margaret who is dialing in from, looks like Denver, Colorado. Margaret, are you there?
I sure am, Seth.
What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Well, you just mentioned the thing that has gotten me so excited is I have a ticket to see you on December 6th at the Secular Hub. I heard about it from you and then found the location. I have been to their small building. You've been there before, from what I understand. And I've been able to, I'm in assisted living. I'm 73 and have some disabilities, but I can't tell you how excited I am to get to see you in person. And so you got me a hold of Secular Hub, which is only 2 miles from where I'm living. And now I've been able to get the Sunday services bus service to their location. And I have just had the best time the last 2 Sundays getting to meet with, I talked to a physicist last Sunday, and it's just a great group of people. So thank you for letting me know that I had this kind of resource so close to me.
No, I love
and
this.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing you.
I love
But I have a little
Secular.
story I was wanting to do. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
I'm just walking all over you here, but thank you. And I'm looking forward to meeting you. I don't know if you're a hugger, but I will cue a hug for you coming up
Oh,
on.
surely.
Okay. All right.
Surely.
You and me. All right. Hit me.
I can't wait. As far as your skiing trip, hopefully we get a little bit more snow. We have still not had a flake of snow in Denver this year. We are already working on the second latest date and may actually pass the first. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more snow for you.
Awesome. I'm just
So I
up
had
there
this story
going
I wanted
down
to tell you.
gravel and rock, and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I look forward to
Well,
whichever
they've got a lot
ACL
of
I
snow
tear.
making.
All right, go ahead. I'm going to stop
Yes,
talking,
that's it.
Margaret. Go ahead. Go
But
ahead.
that's okay. Oh no, you just made my day. Not just my day right now, but I was going to tell you this story. I didn't know if you were going to take question and answers when you're here or anything, but I got Medicare in late 2017. My birthday was just a week ago and stuff. And so in 2018, I needed to go to the hospital. But the thing that's kind of started me on this story that I'm going to tell is the fact that at least in Denver and our suburbs, most all of the hospitals have religious names. We've got St. Anthony's, St. Joseph's, Presbyterian, Lutheran, and that just seems to be pervasive in the hospital environment. But so I'm in St. Anthony's Hospital, and they have a very large chapel. And I was raised by a Roman Catholic mother and an agnostic father. There were 4 girls. 2 of us went the agnostic. I can say atheist now, and 2 of them stayed within the religion. So, but I've always, when I first went to a different church, it was Methodist or something, and I said, well, why don't they have all the statuary that they have in the Catholic Church I was being forced to go to until I was 18? So I'm in this hospital, and it has a big chapel with the big statue of Jesus and everything. But in each and every room of this hospital, they had a little small, they still have, of like 8-inch crucifix with the Jesus figure on it, with the stabbing in the side and the blood dripping and everything. And so I'm in this room having to stare at this cross for several days. And I kept asking them, could you please remove that from my room? And it was just, an inexpensive cross, but I just politely asked them for several days, could you please remove that from my room? And it was just bugging me a lot. So finally, I went over in my wheelchair and took my cane, and it was just barely attached above the door frame. And it came right off. I just popped it off and set it over to the side. And a hospital person came in, and she saw that it was sitting there, and she picked it up and looked at me strangely and walked out. And so I said, oh, well, that seemed to go well, to remove that iconic, out of my room. It was personally offending me. And so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, these two men, the head of security for the hospital and his goon, this extremely large African American man, come flying into my room, and and I've got my computer and my phone. They slammed my computer shut and tried to knock my phone out of my hand. And he goes, I'm going to have you arrested for felony destruction of hospital property. I just started laughing at him, chuckling and stuff. And I'm going, I don't believe I destructed anything. And stuff. And grand something would have to, I would assume, be over the $500 mark. And this was just possibly $10 to $15.
You're calculating whether or not it's a felony beef.
Yeah. But he thought he was just going to so intimidate me by his roughness and his authority, as Cartman says on South Park, and stuff. So I just sat there and just very calmly said, do not touch my equipment. And I did not destruct anything. And he's just sitting there trying to pull this stunt on me, as I considered it at the time, and everything. But then I just couldn't keep myself from it. I started calling the security office on the phone next to my bed, asking for Dave, because I felt like I needed to be able to have some discussion with them about the fact that he had done this and stuff. But he didn't answer the phone, so I just would leave the message. And so finally, one time I called from the phone, and he picked up the phone, and he yells on the phone, how did you get this number? And I said, well, I took my hand, and I went over here to the side table, and I picked up the phone and dialed 0 and asked them for the security department, and I got you. This man is so stupid that he called the switchboard people and told them not to forward my calls to their office, to his office. Okay, well, all he did was pick up my personal phone and call from the outside into the switchboard and ask for the service and stuff. But of course, I was discharged the next day.
So,
but I just found it so strange.
Hang on, Margaret. Can I jump in? So,
Sure.
you're telling me that you just popped a little $5 cross off its
Yes.
nail on the wall, and somebody came in and tackled
Exactly.
you for destruction of property?
He didn't tackle me, but he slammed my equipment down. You know how you get the blue screen on your computer
Mhm.
when it's not shut down properly and stuff. So he slams my computer shut, tried to get the phone, the big guy tried to get the phone out of my hand, and then he starts giving me this, I'm going to have you arrested for felony destruction of church property.
Oh, okay.
And I just chuckled at him.
Okay. Well, I mean, it just
I was
sounds
just so
extreme, even for a
dumbfounded that-
Catholic hospital. You know, we've got one in town, St. Francis is the same way. They've got that little cheap ass dime
Mhm.
store cross hanging in every room. And I
Yeah.
promised if I'm ever admitted, Margaret, for any condition, I'm just going to sneak over and flip it upside down and see if anybody notices.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all I did was remove it from the wall, and he thought he was going to have me in jail that afternoon or something for felony destruction.
Margaret,
And I just went,
fugitive
how
from
Christian is
justice,
this?
like destroyer
You know,
of
what
sacred
kind of
things.
value system
Yeah.
does this Christian man have if he can't handle just having this, like you said, a $5-10 little cross removed from my wall?
And how dare you call him on his professional line asking about the ethics
Yes,
of his role as a security officer. You have committed the
exactly.
heresy. You have committed the blasphemy. What an
Yes,
affront to law and
I'm an
order
heretic.
you are, Margaret. Yeah. That's
Yes.
awesome. Well, I will say this. I look forward to meeting you in Denver. Secular Hub always has
I'm
a
so
great crowd
excited.
and lovely people. And they are just one of those instances where they know that secular people need community, most of us. And we love people and we want to
Yes.
sort of do life, if I can borrow that from the church, and they're good at it. So I look forward to seeing you in just a few
Oh
days. You
gosh,
just save that hug for me, okay, Margaret?
I will do it. And if you would like, I have a photo of a lunar eclipse that is in all the stages that my niece's friend took. I was going to get a copy made over here at Walgreens and see if you would like to have it and just add it to your collection of, stuff and everything.
I would be
But it's a
honored.
very cool picture
I would be honored.
and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Print it
I
out and
thought I
bring
would
it.
bring that.
Print it and bring it.
Okay, I will.
All right.
Thank you so much, Seth.
Okay.
You turned me on to a new community of people.
Well, I'm so honored that that you called, and thanks for sticking to your guns up there in the room. You're a hero. You're the hero
Yes.
we need, Margaret. You take care.
Thank you. Bye
All
bye,
right, see
Seth.
you. I get to bring Natalie to Denver. That's going to be fun. She doesn't come to hear me speak very often because she hears me speak every day, and she's kind of over it. It's not over it, but she's like, yeah. Everyone's like, oh, Seth's speaking, and she's like, yeah, okay, great. Like, and she's a good grounding force. You need somebody who knows your bullshit. You need somebody who's not going to be like, and ladies and gentlemen, joining us for the big presentation today is Seth Andrews. Yay! You need someone who's going to be like, okay, there he is again. Okay, who's hungry? That's my doll. That's my wife. That's my lady, my queen. She keeps me centered. Faith is dialing in from 254. Hi, Faith. Are you there?
Hello, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, call me Seth.
Hello.
What's on your mind,
right.
Faith? Let's chat. What's happening?
Well, okay. Well, this is the first time I've ever called into anything, so forgive me, please.
Glad you're here.
Okay. And my voice, I have the same thing as RFK.
Faith, I like it. It's got texture. It's got panache. It's got personality. I can understand everything you're saying.
It's sure got texture. I'll give it that.
You're doing fine.
Oh,
so
I try to enunciate.
What's on your mind?
Okay. All right. Now, I have a very dear friend. Oh, sorry. And she is quite religious. And she used to tell everyone, that she could talk about religion with me because I didn't, judge. And I'm an atheist with a name like Faith. Oh, my Lord. And recently, her son, who's autistic, has started acting out somewhat. And he says he's an atheist. So I think she blames me for that.
Why would it be your fault?
And because I'm an atheist and I'm open about it. And he was comfortable at my house. He had never been comfortable anywhere. So he ended up spending a lot of time here.
So he was exposed to someone who was non-religious. Maybe you indoctrinated
He was
him with
yes, and that
atheism.
he had never. You got it.
Okay. Okay, I'm tracking.
But here more recently, she hasn't. She only comes over to bring him over. He's an adult now, and comes over because my house is boring, and I think that is comfortable for him. Because if something gets dramatic, he,
Sure,
has
he's not
to isolate.
overstimulated. Yeah, I get that.
Right. Yeah, cardboard's my favorite color. And so she thinks that the end of the world is here and she might go to hell if she keeps talking to me. Which, okay, that's all right.
She thinks that
But every time I try to talk to her, that she's going to go to hell if she keeps talking to an atheist.
she will
And
lose
of
her
course she's already sure
salvation
kids
and
will
go
go to
to
hell.
hell if she engages an atheist in conversation.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification. I'm just trying to
Okay.
follow
Well,
along. Keep going. You're doing great.
okay, that's kind of a toughie.
Yeah.
But every time I try to talk to her about something, I think that, and I tried to talk to her a little bit about politics, and I offended her horribly because I was just, at that time, I was just appalled with the red cow thing. Where they had led 4 red heifers through Gaza, I guess, to try and bring about the end times.
You'll have to forgive my
Insane
ignorance
stuff,
on the red cow story. I'm going to have to check it after we speak today. So she's terrified of you.
I'm not sure where. It's in Revelation somewhere.
She's worried she's going to lose her salvation.
So
She's
she
worried
really-
you're going to taint her son. And your question is what?
Yes, but she still brings me her dog and her kid to watch.
Okay, well, she
My
trusts.
question is there some mindset that you bring yourself to be diplomatic? Because you are the most diplomatic person I've ever heard.
I don't feel diplomatic, Faith.
You just seem to have exactly.
I don't.
I know you don't, but you are.
I don't.
It's amazing. You just bring something to it that people immediately seem to just quit feeling offended.
I wish I was the hero you need. I am a mess. I think a lot of people feel exactly. I'll bet you feel the same.
You're very public.
Okay.
Well, oh, I want to sit in the corner and suck my thumb.
Yeah. Well, I think the question for
Our
you
world
is
just rapidly.
I think the question for you is how far are you willing to bend to be able to spend time with her son, to give him that safe haven if she allows it.
Right. I've spent a lot of time with her. We became great friends. I used to volunteer at a food bank here. I'm in Central Texas. And we became great friends. I mean, I'd spend, the food bank did a distribution every 2 weeks, and I'd spend that whole time there with her. We're, moving food around, going and getting things, just all over the place. And we became great friends. So it's kind of, and I've sat through a lot of gospel music that I detest.
So help me understand, because I want to make sure I'm honoring the time of the people still on the switchboard. So you have a good relationship or you don't?
We had a good relationship, but it seems recently it's just kind of fallen apart. I believe that it may be that she's really frightened inside.
I believe so.
With the way things are going.
Now you think about how insecure someone would have to be to think I'm saved, sanctified, going to heaven, right? And yet just the physical presence, the voice, connecting in conversation with someone who's a believer might strip me of heaven tells you you're dealing with someone who is essentially steeped in fear.
Yeah.
And I think that does deserve, to a degree,
Yeah, well, she is. And
some compassion.
to me,
But
that means that I need to be, I need to be out a little bit more. But I keep that in my mind. It's, I'm
well,
not a real diplomatic person. I tend to say something when I see something.
I get that. I can't tell you how to proceed, except that in
Mhm.
your situation, it's a cost benefit as to how far you're willing to bend to be able to spend time and give safe haven to her son, to in a caregiving way, or something along those lines. You're not going to change her mind. I don't think that's the goal, but I do think it's just fine to stand up for your values and to say
No, no.
this is
I
where I
mean, she believes that religion saved her life.
okay. All right.
And I've pointed that out to her son many times because they're getting in bad fights. I think being a new atheist is almost like when you get saved. You just want to talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I did it for years. I
And
was obsessed. I was obsessed. And it's
yeah,
understandable. It's
yeah,
understandable.
the same thing. It's the same, yeah, it's that same mindset. But she can't see it that way. And she's wanting him to get out of her house. It's craziness.
And it's unfortunate
And I
because
don't want her to lose her son over this because she's not. I mean, she's somebody that managed a food bank for years. She's a giving, generous, kind person.
except when she's not. And I think it would be her son losing her because of
Yeah, this
rules
is
and
true. That's
stipulations
all of this.
that she put in place, which is tragic. And
Yeah.
it's a tragic byproduct of her very insecure faith. All I know is only you can make the decision as to how far you are willing to bend to be able to spend time with him. I don't think you get sucked into arguments. I don't think that's going to take you anywhere productive. But I do
No,
think you stick to your guns in
no,
terms of
I don't. I,
your own values, and
yeah.
I think do your best to stand your ground, be who you are, and then draw the line where you want. Okay, Faith.
All right. Well, I hoped you would have more
I don't have the magic bullet.
specific
I do not
things.
have the magic bullet. I'm
There
not.
isn't any magic bullet.
I'm not a relationship and family counselor. I'm not an expert. Honestly, if I could fix these types of family problems, I would have fixed my
No.
own. And so all I can say is
Oh, that's true. That's true. I'm sure.
I share your frustration, and I always encourage people to find out where their line is personally. Only you can decide how much you're willing to tolerate and where you're willing to put that line and how you would reinforce it. Okay, Faith?
Okay. Well, thank you very, very much.
You're very kind. Thanks for calling.
I really appreciate that there are people like you.
You're very
Have a
kind.
good day.
You're very kind. Okay, be safe over the holiday. We'll see you later. I hear these pauses, or what I feel are pauses in the conversation, and I jump in, but apparently the pauses are not pauses. So I hope I haven't frustrated anybody. I was trying to find the windows there. Let's talk to Garrett, who's dialing in out of Phoenix, Arizona. Garrett, are you with me, my friend?
Hey, I am Seth. How you doing?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
Um, so I've kind of experienced when I was a kid that I can't explain, and it's like the one thing that I'm kind of hung up on. So I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that, but when I was a kid, my mother was sick, and my dad had to go out to get some like food. Family of 5, took the 2 other siblings, and I stayed back and I played a board game with my mom. It was like Battleship or something. We were sitting there playing, and all of a sudden we heard like glass break. So I get up, and my mom can't get up off the couch, and I go and take a look in this china cabinet, and a teacup from, like, I guess from mom was just split in half, just the cup, not the saucer. No big deal. But my dad comes home a little bit later, and he goes to my mom, "Hey, you're not going to believe what happened." I saw your mother in the store. My grandma passed away right before I was born, and he goes, and she was just smiling at me, like in the counter or something. So went to go find her afterwards, couldn't find her. I left the store, she wasn't there. My dad also not like a believer of spirits or anything like that. So my mom she's pretty spiritual or something. She's Native American. She went to a tea leaf reader, and the tea leaf reader tells her, hey, you're sick. You need to get treatment. You need to go to a hospital. I think my mom was trying to just like wait it out, like it was a flu or something. Could have been something much worse. And so she gets this treatment. She gets better, and the tea leaf reader tells her, "Hey, this was your mother trying to send you a message." Blah blah blah. And so as a kid, like there's a couple things going through my head. I'm like, well, maybe I remember that wrong. Childhood, weird things could happen. My mother certainly remembers it, but even asking like my dad later on, he does remember seeing this vision of his dead mother-in-law at the store smiling at him that same day, and that's like the only supernatural experience that like has ever happened. That like I don't believe in ghosts. I think there's got to be a logical reason for everything, but just this kind of coordination of a few different events that have happened in my life that I just can't put my head around. Just looking to bounce that idea off you.
Well, I think we have to lean into Occam's razor, right? What would be the simplest explanation? And
Sure.
does that include someone who is existing in another worldly spiritual membrane who is, somehow interacting with the physical world in these supernatural ways? Or was it something else that has we're pattern seekers, something was serendipitous, we connected dots, who knows? I mean, I tend to fall on the Occam's razors side of it. I haven't seen any evidence for the supernatural yet, so my brain does not go there. Sounds to me like, though, you wonder if it might be ghosts, really? Which is fine.
No, I mean, no, it's just because I actually, even conversations to this day is like I also don't think there's a ghost world or anything like that. It's just weird enough where all the little things happening that I guess in coordination just be a fantastical coincidence of events where I don't know how to put it. It's just kind of a weird
I think you and
a weird
I
thing.
are faced from time to time with things we cannot explain. And I think the right answer is, well, that's weird. Oh, that's odd. But I think we have to resist this tendency to storytell ourselves into places that may not be supported by the evidence or are reasonable. I myself am interested. Hell, I went on a ghost hunt a few months ago and it was a blast. We were seeking all kinds of spirits, and I told all of my ghost hunting peers and friends there that if, hey, something happens, I want to know about it. If something moves or I hear footsteps I can't explain, or there's a mist in the shape of whatever floating through the hallway, that's information I desperately need. So, who really knows what happened, but keep
Lucy
your
said,
eyes and ears open. Let us know if you hear anything else or see anything else. Okay.
"You there?
I'm here. Garrett.
I'm here."
Okay. Are you there?
Yeah, lost you for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Missed
I just
ghost.
said keep your eyes and ears open, man. It's all I got. It's an interesting story. If you happen to see an actual hand appear out of the mist to break the next glass, try to get some video evidence, and then we'll see if it's AI or something. Okay.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks, brother. We'll see you later. There's a garbage truck driving by. This is one of the joys of having a home studio. Wow. That's loud. You probably can't hear it or the squeaking of brakes. I was recording a video interview with an activist named Casey Malone, which is a great name, by the way. Casey Malone sounds like a pop star. And we sat down I put a video set in my living room, and we shot for almost an hour. And the video profile is going to release in December. But as we were talking, it was trash day, so we had to pause. the trash trucks were going. I think even the noon siren went off. They have at noon in Oklahoma, they turn on the tornado sirens as a test every Wednesday at noon. And they go for a minute. And so we're sitting there waiting for the sirens. Finally, let's try to do the next sentence. First world problems. But anyway, sorry about the trash trucks. Is this AJ, my friend and fellow activist from Houston, Texas, on the line?
Hey, Seth. Yes, it is. For
Glad
sure.
you're here. It's always good to hear your voice. We like to take photos together, AJ and me, because I loom. I'm about 6'1". And how tall are you, AJ?
4'8".
4'8".
How
It's
tall am I not?
it's
It's
awesome.
a better question.
So you are a giant, though, in terms of heart and mind and character. But it's so much fun to take pictures because either I'm kneeling way, way, way down for us to be sort of equal for the camera, or you tell me stand tall and loom, and I will stand in your shadow, and that's always a fun picture. AJ, what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, that last photo was hilarious, where you were looming over me with your hands up. The perspective of it came off like you are, I don't know, at least 5 feet taller than you actually are.
It was
But anyways,
like
yeah.
a Frankenstein
I
pose, and I
think
threw my hand, I flared my hands out, and the lens distorted my hand, so I had a Nosferatu kind of fingers that were, and then shadowy, whatever. Yeah, it was wild. Okay, forgive me, AJ. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
no, you're fine. Food. Food is on my mind always. You asked earlier, you were talking about your introduction, and you were like, "Well, who's hungry?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm hungry. I'm always hungry. I might be tiny, but I'm always hungry."
Mhm.
Okay. So my question to you is, do you like to cook, or is not only the cook at the house?
Both of us enjoy it. She's better at some things, and I'm better at some things. I'm better at cooking fish. Um, I just made some like a really delicious sort of curry tilapia dish the other night. She makes an amazing stew, and her salmon is to die for. And we can each do pasta, but it kind of depends on the dish. What do you think?
Oh, that's good. What's
Mhm.
your favorite food to eat, though?
My favorite food? You know, it changes depending on my mood. Some days it's a sushi roll. Some days I'm craving tacos, and some days I just want pasta. I'm finicky. Not finicky. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm all over the map. Let's say that.
A foodie.
Yeah.
I love cooking. I always love cooking. I think because my mom, she when we were growing up, cooking together with her was like a really fun thing for me. So like it's something that I carried into adulthood, and I really like. It's one of those things that I like to sort of my love language, I guess you could say. Like I like cooking for people and make them happy because food makes me happy.
Are you going to cook for the
Um,
holiday?
I am, yeah, I'm actually cooking. Well, we are going to my mother-in-law's house. So she's cooking, the turkey and the ham and some of the sides and desserts. But since I eat mostly plant-based, I eat plant-based because of health more so, although I've been getting into more of the morality of it thanks to other atheists.
Sure.
But anyway, so I'm bringing my plant-based food. So I'm gonna make homemade hummus with that's sort of like the appetizer. But the main dish is gonna be mashed potatoes because potatoes are life. I cannot live without potatoes. And I'm gonna make a vegan meatloaf with mushroom gravy.
I'm
How's
sorry,
that sound?
vegan and meatloaf makes me wonder, are you doing like a tofu meatloaf? What's a vegan meatloaf?
Well, there are some really good alternative to meat, which is it looks, tastes, and has the same texture as ground beef, but it's not beef. It's made of like soy or something. I don't
Sure,
know
it's
exactly.
it's
Some of
like
like
the
pea protein,
what do they call those
like the Impossible.
vegan burgers at the
Yeah,
restaurant?
Impossible.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, not Miracle
Yeah.
Burgers. I don't know, they have a name for them. Well, it sounds like a party at your house, AJ. What time should we be there? If you're cooking potatoes and gravy, I'm in. We'll be right there.
Noon, noon,
Okay, we'll be
just
there at
come on up.
noon. Everybody party at
I'll be there.
AJ's house tomorrow at noon for vegan meatloaf and mashed potatoes. So, anything
I'll make
else on
enough
your
for
mind?
everybody.
Anything else before I move on,
I
AJ?
I do, yes. So, speaking of Thanksgiving, I mentioned to you that since NanoCon, I've kind of like shifted my handling of life situations, life experiences, trying to apply more humanistic techniques. And with the family gathering starting tomorrow, unfortunately, we will be with some family members that are deeply religious. Others are Trump supporters, Trump voters, anti-trans, and other frustrating things. And although they mostly stay away from religious talk, there are some that usually come roaring at me with ridiculous things like the fact that I homeschool my teenager, right? Of all things. And it raises my blood pressure, my heart rate, with the grilling of my choices not to send my kid to, well, specifically, district where we're zoned to is, you can call it MAGA bully school. Literally, my kid is bullied before we started homeschooling really, really badly. It's full of MAGA supporters, and so that is very triggering for me. And I am very well versed on how the brain works. I like to talk about the brain a lot, but operating it myself is a whole different story. And I watch you and admire your ability to remain so calm and collected in stressful situations. So, do you have any tips for responding rather than reacting when you face situations like this?
I just feel like such a hypocrite. Everybody tells me how centered I am, and I mean I'm better. I used to get sucked in to debates that would go nowhere. Arguments, really. I'd be on the phone, and it was usually with a religious parent, and they'd be talking about this and talking about that, and I would use reason. I would say, well, that's factually untrue, and this is not accurate, and blah blah blah. And the more I presented them with the data, the less they cared, or the more they said it was all false, fake news, etc. And then my voice would raise and their voice would raise, and somebody would probably hang up on somebody. And I've gotten better about that. And the one thing that has liberated me to a degree is that I don't tolerate boundary violations. If someone jumps in and they're like, well, I'd like to talk about this, and they do so respectfully, that's one thing. But if it's that sort of condescension, judgment, the ostracizing of someone, that's what I'm talking about. That piety where they look down the nose at you like you're some broken thing, and I just put the kibosh on that and say, I'm not broken. I don't need to be fixed. I'm not your pet project. You know, I'm good, and I don't allow other people to tell me who I am or any of those things. I don't get into sort of these tit for tat data point debate situations with someone who is a closed system. My time and energy, my sanity is valuable. And I know that most people don't believe for reasons of data, they believe for reasons of identity. They have an emotional connection, which is why data points almost never work. We have to take a workaround. I try to foster an attitude of mutual respect. If you'll respect me, then I will respect your right to believe, and let's talk about something else. And if I don't think I'm going to get that kind of latitude, I don't engage. Like if I thought my family was going to say MAGA shit at the table this coming weekend, there's no way in hell I'd be there. And even now I'm on the bubble about going. But I just decide how far I'm going to throw myself into the firing line. And if shit goes down that I don't agree with, I'll tell them why and I walk. And there's been a liberation to that. It's messy, it's unpleasant, but it also feels damn good to say, nah, you're not going to get away with that. Have a nice day. I'm going to go over here where I am respected in the way that I deserve. And I don't know how you should proceed, AJ, except If somebody comes after you, I mean, if I know we'd like to come down and have your back, but honestly, I wouldn't tangle with you. You're a 4'8" tornado. You just mess people up. You'll take them down. You'll put the kibosh on that, AJ. So I know you're a person of deep conviction who genuinely cares about people, and I understand the struggle for sure. I don't know what to do except don't let them suck you in and don't let them ruin the day. If you feel things start to drift, I think you just disconnect and say, fine. Respect starts with self respect. And I respect myself too much to subject myself to whatever you're dishing out. That's what I would do. Does that help at all, AJ?
It does. It does. That's really good advice. I like that. Mutual respect, respect yourself, and when those lines are crossed, then draw the boundaries.
I suspect this is
Thank you.
information you already knew. Maybe you just needed somebody to encourage and remind you. You needed a Tony Robbins to say, "You got this, AJ." So that's my job. I'll encourage you. You got this.
It's it's always better hearing advice with your voice. So yeah, I'll remember that in my head. It's recorded now.
Hey, you go and enjoy your
Thank you,
vegan
Ted.
meatloaf and your mashed potatoes and big hugs from Natalie and me, okay?
All right. Happy Thanksgiving to you both.
Thank you. We'll see you later. You too. Bye. So speaking of vegan, this is going to, before I wrap up, this is going to sound kind of gross to a lot of people unless you get it. But we make a tofu chocolate pie that is to die for. It is delicious and it's super easy to make. You go to the store and you buy a little block of silk tofu, not the firm, but the silk tofu. And tofu is like this bean product, I guess, that takes on the flavor of whatever you put in with it. It's a texture thing. And you throw the tofu into the bowl and you add in, I want to say, a cup and a half of Lily's sugar-free milk chocolate chips. You throw that in. You have to actually melt that chocolate, but not too much. You don't want to burn it. You melt it just enough so it starts to look a little bit melty and you can stir it with a spoon. And then you add the two together and you whip it up really, 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 really good. And it becomes a pie filling that you chill. I don't know if there's sugar in it or Splenda or something. There may be. I think there may be some. We put Splenda in ours. And then for the crust, we don't buy the store-bought crust, but you take pecan and almonds and butter. And you don't melt the butter. You leave the butter so that it's slightly softened, and then you put it in a food processor with the nuts, and you make this lovely textured nut crust, and then you put it in the pie pan, and you completely sort of maneuver it and manicure the nut crust all around the pie, and then you bake it. You got to bake it for about 15 minutes at 350. And then you come out, you let the crust cool, you pour the tofu chocolate chip filling into the pie crust, chill it again, and you have a chocolatey, moussey, lovely, textured, rich, amazing dessert that nobody would know was made with tofu. I swear to you, I am not that guy. Tofu does not move me. Tofu chocolate pie. And then I go in and I take actual whipping cream, and we do Splenda instead of sugar. And I whip up some homemade whipping cream because I can no longer do the store-bought Cool Whip and the shit out of the can. Once you've had homemade whipping cream, the rest just tastes like nothing. It just tastes like ugh. And then you literally just make that whipped cream dance over the top of the tofu chocolate pie. You just use your little spatula baking, whatever they call that and you just make it like waves of homemade whipping cream on top of it. And then you chill it again. Oh my God, it's delicious. It's so good. Anyway, that's going to be part of our holiday food. And this cooking segment has been brought to you by The Thinking Atheist radio podcast and video live stream. That's going to do it for me. Safe travels if you're on the road to grandma's house. If you are or aren't going to family, Boundaries. Remember, it's supposed to be a positive experience. If someone else becomes an agent of ruination for your chi or whatever you want to call it, you have every right to say, done. Have a nice Thanksgiving. Get your shit, leave, and go be around people who do love, respect, and validate you for who you are. Life is short. In the meantime, you always have a community here, and you are greatly appreciated. So have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.